Hi, Bob. Just want to welcome all of our listeners to our podcast. And today, I thought what we'd do, given that we're entering the 12 days of Christmas almost, is to think about next year for business owners that are bringing the year to a conclusion. And what should a business owner be thinking about on their scratch pad from the point of view of making a change for next year? What should be their New Year's resolutions from a business perspective? And we're going to come up with 12 of them. So you're going to have 6, I'm going to have 6. And so we'll open up the debate like that, and hopefully people will find it useful. So
instead of the 12 days of Christmas, we're having the 12 things to think about over the holidays.
For sure.
Okay, I like it.
Okay.
I like it.
So do you want to kick off with number one? What's the number one thing on your scratch pad as a business owner as you're thinking about next year that maybe you want to take a look at, change, improve, something that's going to drive value?
No, I think it's great. And again, over the holidays, you want to have these thoughts, but you don't want to like spend all your time thinking about it. But one of the first things that I would advise an owner to think about is, what is your plan for next year? You've laid out some sort of a strategy where you want to achieve a certain revenue number. I think it's important to think about that, and then to have that in the back of your mind, because sometimes over the holidays, at the quietest moments, some great ideas may come to your mind. And if you know what your plan is, you can add those ideas to helping you achieve those plans. How about you, Steve? What about yours? What's your number one?
So my number one thing that I'd like to have on my scratch pad is a reflection on what went well and what didn't go so well, with a view to either expanding the things that did go well so we could drive even more value. But as importantly, I guess, what didn't go so well, such that you could fine tune maybe, or change totally, or maybe eliminate an effort that had been made in the previous year that didn't go so well. So I would be thinking about what went well, what didn't go well, and how we could make changes for 2025.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's a great thought.
So number 3, Bob.
Number 3 for me would be projects. It's inevitable that as you finish one year, you say, oh, I wanted to hit that project and I didn't get to it. But now's a great time to think in advance, to think proactively and say, okay, here, what are the key projects that I want to get done that'll make a difference to my company, make a difference to my employees, my customers, and then set a priority and say, next year, I am going to absolutely hit this number of projects, and I'm going to do it over this time period. So I think that's a great thing to start, thinking about over the next little while.
I agree.
How are you? Number 4.
Number four would be a slight variant on my first point, but nonetheless as important, but maybe harder hitting. So I would say number 4 would be, is there anything that we should start to do next year that we currently don't do? Or alternatively, and I guess slightly more difficult, is, are there any things that we should stop doing that weren't good, that really make no difference at all to the company, or cost money instead of making us money, or maybe create a toxic atmosphere or a dysfunctional situation? So I would go through a set of thinking on what to start for improvement, or to drive value, and maybe what are the things to stop.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense.
So how about number 5?
Number 5, and I guess this is related a little bit to my project, management comment earlier. But you think about it, we're in a world where technology is coming at us in 1,000 miles an hour. I mean, just a year ago, 2 years ago, who would ever thought of implementing AI as a key part of your, your day in and day out business, activities. But I think this is a great opportunity to sit back, do a little bit of research, and think about what technologies could we implement that would really help the business. Uh, at the same point, it doesn't have to be just new additive technologies. Maybe it's upgrading technologies. You think about the big leaps and bounds in terms of CRMs and software packages and time management packages and so on and so forth. Think about, is there technology that we really should implement this year that would create opportunities for customer satisfaction or improve productivity? I think this is a great time of the year to think about that.
Yeah, just thinking about that technology as you talk about it, there's a lot of talk about AI, and I don't know if any of our listeners have started to investigate, some of the really interesting software. That's a commonly named one might be ChatGPT. Really encourage people to take an initial stab at something like that, because
Mhm.
you will be astounded at the
Absolutely.
things that comes onto your computer screen when you put a really great question in. You'll be astounded at the answers. But take a look. If you've never take a look, if you're not a believer, take a look. It's very powerful stuff.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
So number 6 on my list, Bob, is what I'd like to do is, maybe if I'm a relatively young business, or I want to improve the quality of my existing business. What I'd really want to do is see if there's any improvements to the reported information that we get out of the system, that we produce, that our resources produce. Let me give you an example. Maybe if you report profitability for the company, and you don't really have profitability by segment, or you don't really have profitability by customer, or even you don't really have profitability of a promotional campaign. Maybe up until now you just spent the money on these things, or maybe you've just seen some of those things reported in total revenue. I think a really great step from if you don't measure it, you don't know. A really great step is to start improving some of those things next year, and you'll see the benefit of that from the point of view of being able to manage better.
Yeah, imagine if this year, we had all that information, business owners had the information that they really needed so they can make decisions and make them quickly and move forward. Think about all the frustration and consternation that would go away if you had that really good information in front of you. And of course, when you tie that into the technology discussion that we just had, it's so easy, and it's so easy to get that information and order it in a way that makes a lot of sense. So that's a great suggestion. Okay, the
Number,
next one on my list, are we up to number 7 now?
yeah.
So the next one on my list, and it's interesting as we go through these, they all tie together, don't they? But the next one on my list would be time management. You've got a lot of activities going on in the course of a year, or never mind that, in the course of a day. And it's so easy to get distracted and pursue activities that are not critical to the benefit of your business. Maybe they're important, maybe they're fun, maybe they're enjoyable, whatever. But you really I think time management is such a critical skill to have, and it's really one that comes with practice, and that is identifying what are the key priorities, what will make a difference in my business, and then focusing on those first. It doesn't mean dispense with the other things. It means focus on the most important things first, get them done. That's what time management's all about, and it creates such satisfaction when you got the key issues done, and you can then move on to some of the other ones that are important but maybe not as critical.
One of the exercises that someone once told me about was recording your time for maybe a week. Just record every hour that you spend for a week on exactly what you've done during the week. And honestly, it's a very interesting exercise because you, looking back at that analysis of time spent, it is amazing how much time you waste, how much time you spent on zero value added activities, and it's quite a good exercise to do. So maybe that would be instructional for a business owner as well. Just
Well,
taking the time to do that analysis.
yeah, and interesting, just a note on that, these days, of course, many of us work either full time or part time in a remote environment like home, your home office. And there's a lot of distractions when you're not in an office, a professional office environment that can suck away at that time. And to your point, it'd be interesting to do that and find out just how much time are you focused on your business, focused on your activities versus walking down to the fridge to go get something to eat. It's that's a very interesting. We should tackle that one early in the new year.
We should. So number 8 for me, Bob, is to think about my key objectives for next year. You talked about doing a plan. I think implicit in that is, what are some of your key goals that you're going to set for the business, and how do they cascade down? Setting your key goals and maybe articulating them at the beginning of the year. Maybe I highly recommend that people write them down and put them into a written plan. That's a discipline that we certainly coach our clients on. But setting your objectives is important, and I would say no more than maximum 5, probably 4 key objectives for the business. Any more than 5 is too many. So that would definitely be what I would be thinking about, is what are my key objectives for next year.
No, great thought. Okay, my next one, I guess we're up to number 9. My next one would be, and again, it ties together. You talk about key objectives for the business, but work-life balance is also important. At any given moment, you've got a crunch, you've got a big proposal or presentation that's due tomorrow, or you're going to go catch a plane because you're flying somewhere and you're scrambling to get things done, and those are pretty hectic times. But those hectic times shouldn't be the norm. You really need to balance out what you do, and balance time with family, balance time with activities that are important to you. Balance time thinking about the future, not just be a person who is thinking about what do I have to do going into the future versus what do I have to get done right now. I think that work-life balance is so critical. A, you avoid burnout, but B, again, satisfaction is an important motivator in our careers. And I think when you've got that balance in place, it goes a long way.
Yeah, I really like that. And I particularly like making sure that, the employees in our businesses get given the time to take their vacation and recharge their batteries. Recharging your batteries really works wonders for your work effort.
Absolutely.
Over the next segment of time. So the final one, no, number 10 for me,
number
not quite
10,
the final one, is maybe reflecting on our time horizons. Typically, if we're in the middle of our business career, the time horizon is that we focus on is maybe a year, and then you break it down into quarters and maybe months and so on. I think it's important periodically to look beyond the 1-year time horizon. So maybe go forward 3 or 5 years, because sometimes those decisions you want to take transcend the tax-driven 12 months of the year, the calendar type. So figuring out your time horizon. The reason I say that, and maybe some of our listeners are not in the middle of the career, maybe they're towards the back end of their career, and if their time horizon, maybe to retirement, is is 1 or 2 or 3 years, maybe 5 years, then that starts to drive a different set of thinking,
Mhm.
and should do because a transition out of your business in whatever form that is, and we certainly have advise our clients on different forms of a transition. That will drive, should drive different thinking, and so think about that time horizon and what it means for planning out your future and the
Yep.
business's future.
Yep. Absolutely. So we're down to the last two, and why don't we just for these last two, why don't we step away from the business side of it and just say, we're 2 weeks away from the holidays. Well, we're less than that. We're a week away from the holidays, but 2 weeks away from practically the end of the year and so on. And I know that people will be taking some downtime here. So my number 11, and the last two should be more on the personal side. My number 11 is really take that downtime. Yes, think about things, but think about them in a very light way. Think about them in a very um, you know enjoyable way, but take some downtime. Read a book, go skiing, go skating, do those things that you normally don't do. I mean, let's face it, at this time of the year, 80% of the of the work place is shut down because people take time off. You need to take, not you, but people need to take that time just to reflect on the year, spend time with family, spend time with friends, and just enjoy yourself. Recharge the batteries and enter 2025 with absolutely on fire, knowing that you took some time off over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and clear your mind. Don't think about business for a while. I think it's so therapeutic
Mm-hmm.
to do that, and and as we're creating our list of top 12 priorities that absolutely should be a priority over the festive period for sure. Okay,
Absolutely.
so on to number 12. In a similar vein for me, spend some time with your family. Like, a lot of us business owners out there, we get real focused on the business for a good long period of time, sometimes to the detriment of who we hold near and dear. That includes both our spouses or our kids or our grandchildren or our parents or grandparents, whatever. But it's time to spend a little bit of time with family, reconnect. That's important, and business can wait for a little while. And you know what? I mean, I think it's part of the therapeutic regeneration as well. So
Yeah.
there's the top 12 from Rizolve,
Yep.
and we sincerely wish you all, both Bob and I, a very happy holidays, and we look forward to speaking with you all in the new year.
Yeah. Happy holidays, everybody. Be safe wherever you go and enjoy yourself. And again, as Steve just said, we'll see you for a new and prosperous 2025.
Happy holidays.
Take care.